Welcome to video 3 of Creating Wealth. We're talking about knowing your numbers. This is an interesting one. I'm actually on two sides of the fence here, Dar, strangely enough, as we record this. So this will be an interesting video to go back and look on myself in 6 to 12 months' time. But the kind of overarching philosophy, Dar, maybe I'd love for you to dive a little bit deeper into this and make it expand a little bit more, is the concept of you avoid what you don't know, or you move away from what you don't know. And money's included, I think, in this. So for those that don't know their business numbers, they don't know their numbers as a whole. And we're going to go deep on numbers as a whole here in a moment. They tend to avoid that and move away from, and therefore find themselves at a place of lack, I find. What's your thoughts on this, Das? I'd love to maybe think about a psychological point of view or a philosophical point of view, and then maybe we can dive into real practicality on this one.
Nice. So ultimately, humans are always looking to move from a state of uncertainty to more certainty. And that really goes for every animal in the animal kingdom, I would suggest, where we're wanting to move away from the threat of the unknown towards the heaven of the known. That's what we're looking for. The more known, the more certainty. Now, so much so that it is often we presuppose there's going to be more pain looking at our numbers and seeing what we don't want to see than the pain that we perceive that is involved right now of not even knowing them at all. Right? Yeah. So we're like, the discomfort of not knowing them is less painful than if I look at them and see what I don't like. I don't want to look in that mirror. That's not nice. This is why people don't go to the dentist when they know they should.
Interesting.
Okay. So it's like the pain of going to the dentist and hearing from him the $4,000 bill he's going to put on my desk for the 2 teeth he's going to rip out from the back of my gums. Even as I talk about this, people are like, all right, I'm not going to the dentist. Very hard sell, the dentist. So that's why, it's the thing that we'd rather not know. Despite the fact that what's happening now is teeth are rotting in our mouth and they need to be taken care of, because they'll probably end up causing more gum damage down the line if we don't look at them now. Does this make sense? So the same thing goes for our numbers. There may be numbers that you don't want to look at in your business. Because to know the truth is hard to handle for some people. And the truth is, when we look at your numbers, it looks like your business is about to die. That's what these numbers are telling us. Or ultimately, the beauty, the most one that will ride home for the most amount of people, and this is true over and over and over and over again, is that the numbers will tell them one thing, and that is that they're not as good as they think they are. Or they're not as good as the person they think others perceive them to be. Okay. That's a very scary thing to look in the mirror and realize. However, it is through facing that pain and facing that discomfort and understanding your numbers, tracking what your numbers are, tracking what your sales results have been, is only through doing that you can look at the situation, understand and analyze what needs to be solved, and then go about solving it.
For sure.
If we're going to go from Victoria to Queensland, so we go from point A to Queensland, point B, right? If we're driving and you hand me a map, the most important thing isn't that we know where point B is in terms of knowing where Queensland is so that we know where we're going to go. Well, the first thing you've got to tell me is where we are now.
For sure.
You can give me all the maps to Queensland you want, but if we don't know where we're starting from, then every single map that you're going to give me other than the one where we're at is useless, completely useless, right? Yeah. So we must understand first where we are. That's key. The most logical, truthful, and analytical way to do that is to understand what your numbers are. Your numbers are telling you a story, and they're telling you the most truthful story. Other than that, you're basing it on your emotions. And as we've learned, emotions are tough to, shall we say, trust when it comes to growing and running a proper business. Growing and running proper sales numbers.
I love that so much. I love what you just said there, that they're telling a story. Because I think that's how you take it. The learnings even deeper is when, one, you really analyze point A and you work out where you are right now, black and white. pure logic.
Mm-hmm.
But then you start to read the story. I was with an amazing accountant the other day. He's now partly retired, but unbelievable guy. Like, his business brain was off the charts. He's one of those guys where, he knew math so well. It'd be like, oh yeah, da 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 da. He's like doing complex sums in his head and be like, yeah, so we'll do that, da, 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 about this. Boom, there's the numbers. Like, he's a walking calculator, right?
Yeah, wow.
I was like, man, you're a freak. How good is this? I'm like, so what led you to do this? I asked him, what really excited you about this industry? You've done it your whole life. You've worked on amazing companies, a board of huge organizations. What's the go? And he said exactly that. He goes, Steve, I love the story that numbers tell. And he said, I saw everything as a story. So when I was on the boards of companies, I'd be looking at their numbers, deeply analyzing it month by month, but then I'd be reading the story behind them. And he says, that's how you make great change in people, is you look at the story. And I think it's cool because when we play the chips game, right, we do quarter by quarter and we actually put people's scores on the board. Sometimes that's confronting to people to see their numbers go up and down.
Yes.
But it's interesting then to analyze objectively, what was the story between quarter one and quarter two? What was the story between quarter two and quarter three? What was the narrative? What was the hero journey? What was the enemy? What was the snare? What part of the narrative am I in? I think it's a really, really fundamental part of understanding self and understanding the game.
Nice.
Love that. Painting the story.
There we go. So it's more like if there's knowing your numbers and then understand what story are the numbers telling us.
For sure. I think it goes with everything as well, right? Like, it's about taking the leap of faith to stare the numbers right in it. Like, you hear this all the time that people don't really, some people got different opposing views on this, but I truly think that people don't start a real health journey until they understand how much of their body as a percentage is fat.
Sure.
When that number comes back at you black and white, you're like, ooh, yeah, maybe I'm not as healthy as I thought I was.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? It's that point of actually being objective about it that it's a good starting point. And then imagine this. Let's say it's not so good. Let's say you look at your numbers right now and the numbers staring back at you aren't where you want them to be. Then you get to analyze, well, what's the story? What's the journey? What's the narrative that's got me to this point?
It's a really key point, man. I don't think many people would see knowing their numbers from this angle, from understanding the story that they're telling. That's really cool.
It's just a scoreboard.
Love to hear down below, if you did your numbers, what story did they start to tell? And this, I want people to know, this alone can be such a massive change agent for their business and sales numbers, is being consciously aware of what the numbers are. When you see those, essentially what that does is it takes the confusion out of your mind and puts it onto paper where it can actually see what's going on, so it can start making clear decisions. Until you do that, you'll be making decisions based on emotion. You won't be making them based on logic, and your emotion is clouded.
Perfect, dude.
So let us know how we go. Questions, comments below. Anything else we can help with, just say the word.
I'd love to do a masterclass on this, just by the way.
Yeah.
Go real deep on this for like half an hour, an hour. I think it's really, really powerful.
Let's do that.
Comments below. Love to hear your stories.